Well, aren't any new movies debuting this week? So Michael Cook's going back to the vault to find some older ones. And I first saw The Con is On up there. Like, wow, two Eddie Murphy movies in back-to-back weeks. The guy is active again. Well,
exactly.
One's an older one.
Right. I thought we'd do what I call the hidden gem segment.
Okay.
Both of these films are from the late 1990s. Let's talk about Bowfinger first. This one stars, as you mentioned, Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin. In this film, Steve Martin plays a washed-up movie producer who's just dying to make a film. Eddie Murphy plays a action movie star at the time who wants nothing to do with movie or character, but Steve Martin and his band of merry movie makers decide to film a movie with the Eddie Murphy action star, but they do it in secret. They tail him around the city and create weird things like aliens are attacking him, and all the while just driving Eddie Murphy's character absolutely crazy in the process, thinking he's being chased by alien life forms. It has a fantastic cast. Heather Graham, as I mentioned, Steve Martin, Robert Downey Jr. has a little bit part in here. And this movie is sort of a love letter to movie making, because you just have to love how Steve Martin's character just wants to make a movie, and how his people, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what's happening, they want to find a way, even putting, as you see on the screen there, even putting shoes on a dog to try to create a scary scenario in a parking garage, but they're just desperate to make a movie. I just love this movie. It came out around 1999. Unfortunately, it was not a big hit, which is surprising to me, because it's probably, in my opinion, one of the top 5 comedies of the 1990s. Directed by Frank Oz. I just adore this movie. I highly recommend it. It's currently streaming on HBO Max. I give this film a 9.5 out of 10.
No way, really?
Top score. I just absolutely adore this. I've seen that. I can't even count how many times I have seen this movie.
I don't remember ever hearing of this, but I'm just watching the trailer, and it just, I'm laughing just watching it. I mean, just I can picture Steve Martin. I can picture Eddie Murphy in this. I think it's got to be hilarious.
Exactly.
All right, so let's check in with the Spanish Prisoner.
The Spanish Prisoner. This is available for free on Amazon Prime, and by happenstance, it also has Steve Martin in a starring role. But the big star in the movie is Campbell Scott. The basic plot line is Campbell Scott plays a young, up-and-coming kind of inventor. He's invented something called the process, although it's purposely never explained what the process is, but it's supposed to be some kind of new formula that will make this business that he's working for multi-millions. All the while, everybody is very keen to get their hands on it. What happens is this movie is directed and written by David Mamet, so it has a lot of twists and turns, and you don't know what people's motivations are. Steve Martin plays a very wealthy and mysterious man who befriends Campbell Scott. Rebecca Pidgeon plays his co-worker who clearly has a crush on him. Without giving anything too away much of the plot, Campbell Scott is accused of murder. People are out to get him, and he's trying to clear his name to prove his innocence. This is a neo-noir thriller with twists and turns that, frankly, you may or may not see coming, but that's part of the enjoyment of this film, that it keeps you guessing. I love Steve Martin in this movie because here he's playing a dramatic role. He's going against type. He's not funny at all, but he has a real heft and gravitas that comes across in this film. This is another film I enjoyed. Unfortunately, it wasn't a big hit either back in the late 1990s, but as I mentioned, it's streaming on Amazon Prime. This is another film that I enjoy and highly recommend, which is why I give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Same score. Go ahead.
No. So you have 2 great movies to see that you may not have heard of this weekend. That if you want to see a thriller, if you want to see just a fun, silly comedy, these are 2 choices that I think you can choose from.
Has Steve Martin made many movies where it's not a comedy, where he plays a dramatic or serious role?
Not too many. This is one of them. Another one was called Shop Girl, that was based on a novel that he wrote. Where actually in that one he also plays a very wealthy man. I guess he's got a certain type he likes to play in drama, and he was very good at that. I wish he would do more dramatic roles. There are others that just don't come to mind immediately, but he does have those dramatic acting chops that I wish we would see a little bit more of on the screen.
Oh, I also think, you know, maybe the one movie, he was a pretty dramatic role, The Jerk. Remember? It was pretty. Is that not dramatic? No?
No, not maybe. You know, maybe not. But again, another great film, another great comedy. I think I'm sure streaming somewhere online that you can watch.
They're shooting the cans. All right, Michael, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Rance, what do you got?